Episode 50. Got to blow on your hands first. Put on the rubber glove. Mark's been for his MOT. I've been for mine, mind. Because apparently there's some other, I don't know. Oh, it was something to do with having asthma. I don't know, but I've been going, for a few years now. They do a blood draw, check your weight. They also do my breathing as well while I'm there on a peak flow meter. Then ask us about, am I taking my inhalers? Yes, no, whatever. I didn't lie to the nurse this time. But the last one. Didn't want to lie to her. But she looked like she could easily have us. You know what I mean? Oh. Aye, she could have knocked us out. So I tried to be on my best behaviour. But so how was it? There was no rubber gloves or
I mean, the
anything
sort of
involved, was there?
the sort of backstory to it is, I think if we talk us as an area of the country, the north, where just get on with it, just run through it, and we never go to the doctors or go for a sort of check until something is going wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm here
Men are bad to begin with, but northern men are probably
exactly,
Yeah.
Be reet, man,
working
be
class,
reet,
perhaps.
be reet. Oh yeah.
Be reet.
Yeah, you've just grown an extra testicle. I'll be real. Go and do it in the morning. Just take a pill. Take a pill. Take a paracetamol.
Is it supposed to be that colour?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. You managed to collect Hitler's one that he was actually missing. So apparently. And I think we're trying to sort of move men of our age into a thing what we would call preventative medicine, which is about sort of finding it early and that's why when you talk about women who are really good at or getting better in terms of early breast screening and that sort of thing, and getting that dip, that dip, and we need to be
smear.
That's it. No campaign there.
Come up with a better word for it, right?
And no, yeah. So I was offered. You get a text or you get information because I'm of a certain age, and I went on Wednesday and I was in at 8:30 and Anita was in at 9, and the nice lady let me go in, and they obviously just start by asking you general questions. Start off with the sort of interesting. The funny bit was do height and weight. And she had this thing on the wall stuck above, and you pulled it down towards your head. She said, "Can you do it? Because it's a bit high. You just pull it down and whatever, walk away, and that's the measurement." So I pulled it down and I measured, and it said 182, and I was like, "I'm 185 and a bit," and I was like, "Flipping heck, I've shrunk in the last couple of years." And then she does me weight, and I think it was at 80 kilos, which is 12 stone 7, with me clothes on. And she was like, "Well, you're just nearly borderline obese." And I was like, "What?"
Shut
What?
you.
Yes,
Shut up.
She's like, "You're
Shut up.
just getting the borderline." And I was like, "Really?" Anyway, I'll bring the story forward to bring it back. When Anita had her height done and we went home and discussed it, what we realised was the bloody height thing set at the wrong place, because hers was... So the NHS have set the height thing wrong. We were both shorter than we should be. And it's just like...
This is why BMI is about as much use as a fart in a spacesuit.
That was it. So she did the height weight, and she did me BMI, and she said, "Oh, you're borderline." And I was like, "No." I was like, I'm not. She said, "You're just under." I said, "I know I'm just under." I said, "Flipping heck." So
All you'd have to do is lift your shirt up and go, "Look, man."
Well, I did. I lifted my shirt up to show her, because we got discussing, the weight loss, and I said, "Look at this flipping skin." I said, "Some of this skin probably weighs." Me and my mother were discussing it. I mean, my mother, won't mind me saying her excess bits probably weigh more than mine, but I've got excess which could be cut off and would probably take me below the BMI level.
Really, I didn't think you'd got that. You'd got that sort of big. I've looked back at some our old Pandora photos and that, but
why do you think Anita calls me flappy cheeks sometimes?
does she?
Yeah. Why she called me Flappy Cheeks?
All right.
And now I'm not talking about these.
Yeah.
So when I fart, it always sounds wet now.
Nice. Also, your arse is like one of those Western saloons with
There's that many
with the swinging
saddlebags.
doors.
There's that
With the
many
swinging doors
saddlebags
on
in my arse cheeks.
Nice.
And I never realised that was going to be one of the implications. But yeah, so I've got what we call, and of course, when you get to a certain age, it doesn't go back, does it? The skin doesn't go back. So
Well, there is that.
yeah, so I've got, as Anita likes to say, I've got flappy cheeks. So that's part of some of me weight issue. But and I think going back to what we're doing this for is we as blokes from the north, when we know something's wrong with us, we don't go to the doctors because we're afraid of what the answer might be.
Yeah.
But actually doing it this way, we are getting an upfront indication that maybe down the track we can do something about it. So if I had a high blood count on something, or I was a little bit overweight, they would start saying, well, you might want to consider doing this, or do you know that this is, and so rather than it becoming, well, there's something wrong with me and I'm avoiding going because I'm afraid of the answer, we're actually preempting this by going and getting these MOT checks.
There's something it did for me was because my blood sugar's always good, my blood pressure's always good, and I'm average on everything. Usually, I'm everything. I'm average height, average everything, right? So, well, nearly everything.
Above average,
I make up for it.
Yeah, we're like those drivers, aren't we? We're all above average.
Yeah. What I lose in height, I make up for in length.
Yeah.
So what I found was, because there's never out the matter, it's actually reinforcing going a bit more, because the news is always, oh, that's all right. Oh, that's all right. It's never... I mean, it means it might hit harder if there's ever any bad news, but it will be caught, because I've been going every year for I don't know how long now. Partly because it's called the asthma clinic, so they would check up on your breathing, check up on any issues. Is it getting better? Is it getting worse? How's your hay fever? Because hay fever is related, all that. So I get asked a whole bunch of questions when I'm there. And I generally open up when I'm there as well about anything else that's on my mind, which I imagine is kind of part of the reason they do it. So there was this and this and that. So, well, that's not to worry about. It's because of blah, blah, blah. I was like, all right. Well, normally I would just sat at home and went, it'd be Reed. Reed, I'll not mention it. But while I was there, I mentioned a few sort of bits. Oh, well, your hay fever, this, and that'll happen with that. I was like, right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Well, it's how many times have we heard in the past from our neck of the woods that, Bobby died of the cancer, and then Mark went slightly afterwards and he died of the same. Can you believe it? They went in the same condition. No shit, Sherlock, And if we know that Bobby had cancer, then, and we're 20 years younger, we would be watching for the early signs of that, because whether it's lifestyle or hereditary, whatever, we know there's a reasonable possibility of us getting it, isn't it?
It's like my dad's like, we're going to so and so's funeral. You remember him? He used to smoke and used to be in the thing, and I was like, all right. He said, massive heart attack. Is it really? Was that the guy that used to smoke and inhale his cigars? He was a healthy drinker. Well,
and you like these chips
and all that, So when you start sort of listing back through the habits, you start, you know what it is.
Well,
the signs were there. The signs were there.
It's funny you mention that, because you start going on about family history. So I'd sort of prepped a little bit about my dad, so I brought out the book and I started going through it. And I said, well, now I've gone through all the things he's got, She says, he's a little box of tricks, isn't he? And I said, yeah. And I said, obviously, my mother's got a few bits, so we went through them. So, and of course, we know that a combination of mum and dad's DNA, we'll have to be aware of some things, won't we? And again, in the preventative measures.
Yes, certain susceptibilities are genetic, so
Yeah.
There's no guarantee that you'll inherit the gene, or that you'll inherit it and it's turned on or off, whatever it is. But you have an increased risk, so you have to keep an eye. I know at the minute there's a huge run on men checking their undercarriage.
Oh yeah, check. Make sure you've not got an extra one.
It keeps cropping up on the news. Well, women are checking for these lumps. Men, you can get lumps. And you can check. I mean, technically, men can get breast cancer. Because we still have the... I forgot. You know what it is? The word was there until I came to say it. But the bit on the end, anyway.
Yeah.
Underneath where it's still possible, but you've got to check your junk, haven't you?
You have, and I mean, I went, I'd spruced myself up. I had a bit of shave, bit of higher karate, new underpants on, took the 5-day ones off, and
aye, make sure you're wearing clean underwear.
That's it. And I was hoping for at least 2 fingers, but I got none. So it's it was slightly disappointing that
no prostate.
No prostate. So, and I wouldn't have had an issue with that. A lot of men, have I'm not going because of that. And it's like,
Scared in case they enjoy it.
Bit of lube and you're laughing, aren't you? Literally.
Yeah.
It's
funny, comedians always talk about the most uncomfortable part of it is the conversation that they make. Like, they'll just ask you what you've been up to. Like, this isn't normal, right? So don't talk like it is normal. You got your fingers in a guy's butt.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you say, oh, so you that guy from that show? Yeah.
Yeah.
You're Bill Bailey, aren't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got nice moves, You move your hips, can't you?
Oh, he did well on that Strictly.
He did.
What's it, didn't he?
Yeah. So she did pulse, blood pressure. I had to wean a pot. She was asking us things.
I haven't done that.
Yeah, she was asking. I had 3 tubes of blood taken. She was asking me about things like fruit and veg. Do you have your 5 a day? And I was like, seriously, I have like 10 a day, never mind 5 a day. So yeah. And then she was on to, the A question,
Alcohol.
Yeah, she says, I'm just going to read you some categories out. She said, would you say you have a drink more than 3 times a week, more than X per month, or And I said 0, and she's like, no. Which? And I was like, no, it's 0. And actually, the bizarre thing I looked it up before this because I was going to mention it. On the 17th, which is in 2 days' time, that's 5 years since I had a drink. So, yeah, it's 5 years on Tuesday, and it was a Tuesday. I remember it, and there's not many northern boys, never mind, from Cheshire, that are going into the quacks at 55 and saying, I don't drink any alcohol, I don't take any drugs. My body's a temple. And by the way, I want to tell you this weird story about maths on crisps. And I did tell her it. Yeah. Did you know?
28 quid a week.
Yeah, 28 quid a week. Yeah, I was watching the episode back this afternoon actually, and from last week, and so yeah, I actually there's that thing. I mean, that you've more or less always been able to answer that question in 0, but I really enjoy the question now. So in a really positive.
It's a matter of pride for me. None.
Yeah, none.
And especially the reaction you get is like, "What's up with you?" I'm like, "What's up with you?"
Yeah.
What's up with you? I'm the one that's not taking drugs here.
And she said something about. She says, "Oh, any reason?" I said, "Yeah, I worked this out, so now I don't do it in there or in a point in my stomach." I said, "I managed to work that out, so I don't need the alcohol in the food." But yeah, she was. To be fair, she was nice. And I suppose the underlying question is to blokes out there is why wouldn't you go for it when it's free and it helps you?
And 9 times out of 10, the news is, all right,
See you in
oh, you'll be
4 years
fine.
or 5 years or whatever.
Well, it's 9 times. I mean, I have to go every year for, like, say, this clinic thing, and more recently they started drawing bloods and whatnot, and the news has never been more than, oh well, you're right through the middle on most things, so there's no signs of high blood sugar, there's no signs of this, no, like, so why wouldn't I go back? Be nice. It's kind of nice to kind of go, well, I know I've had some ups and downs this year, but haven't had me physical. It turns out it hasn't really taken a toll. And one thing I definitely don't want is to head down, the route of some family members where they've got CPAP machines and
Yeah.
statins and things for water retention, and then you've got the side effects of the statins and the other tablets that you're taking. So you end up on like 3 or 4 of them, and 2 of them are to counteract the effects of the other 2. Like, I don't want to end up being a walking pill bottle. I definitely don't want a CPAP machine. So my older brother's just got one.
Is he?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, he said it's changed his life. He now gets a full night's sleep, and
Oh, is it?
he doesn't feel knackered when he gets it. It forces the air in overnight.
It's like for sleep apnea.
Yeah, exactly. And sleep apnea is just a loosening of the tissue at the back, right? So,
Yeah.
which can be caused by being overweight, the pressure and the whatnot. So, I'm determined. I don't want to. I don't want to have something that supports me. I want as long as possible. Bearing in mind, most of my life I've had an inhaler. About half my life I've had hay fever. I'm always forgetting to take them bloody tablets as well, to the antihistamines. So I'm always waking up with some sort of dodgy nose, a dodgy throat, my eyes watering. I'm like, oh shit, I forgot to take my tablets, man. So I'm used to having to take something. Well, I'm supposed to, but I keep forgetting. But I don't want things that are like statins. Once you start, that's it. Got to take them. After that, can't come off them.
It was just something I was thinking about there. So it's like we both have a car, and we know it needs a service and an MOT each year, and we do it because it's required to make it roadworthy and legal.
You've said this before. Actually, you've used this analogy before. That
I also use the bank balance one. Using a bank
Yeah.
balance, and I think it's we're great to protect our some of the objects that we own in our life, like cars and bank balances. But the number one thing we need to look after, we tend to sort of steer away from it, and we can't, because without looking after ourselves, we don't have the car and we don't have the bank balance.
perhaps if we had, I think we've had this conversation before, where I've tried to think about who I am tomorrow and treat that as a different person. So if I don't do the dishes today, tomorrow me has to do them, and he'll be pissed off with yesterday me. So I'm trying to be very conscious of what time feels like, whereas no one can see themselves as 80 yet, right? Nobody knows what that feels or looks like. So it feels like it doesn't feel like it's part of you. It's, oh, that's going to happen to someone else. So you're not really conscious of your own mortality, are you? So I'll be right.
Yeah, but you just have to look at your parents. You've just had dinner with your parents. You get a rough idea, aren't you?
Yeah, and like I say, my mum's always talking about her weight, but none of her diets and plans are stuck to. Or I'm like, well, look, I'm not going to badger about it, because if she's got a smile on her face, that's all that matters, right? And then my dad, after Sunday dinner, he gets up, opens his tub, pops his different tablets, puts them on the table, gets his glass of pop that he's been having with dinner, and chucks these things that I'm like, that's what me granda did. And what killed him in the end was when he decided he'd had enough and just stopped taking them. And a massive heart attack in the end because of the fluid on his chest.
Yeah, we're not professionals. So, that's what they're there for.
So I'd rather not get into that situation. I think I've got 2 inhalers and a pack of antihistamines. It's enough for me. I don't want more things. I certainly don't want ones that, like, you must take these. Now that you've started them, you cannot stop them.
Oh yeah, no worse than
It was bad enough having. I mean, I was on antidepressants for 2.5 years, and I weaned myself off them in the end because of that mentality that I don't want to be on these like indefinitely. They're meant to be a temporary fix to get you to a point where you're mentally prepared to fix whatever's causing it in the first place. You know, they're meant to level you out.
Yeah.
And they did for a while. But, you know, there's more going on in there than that. But I thought, well, but that means I'm on them forever, and that's not what I want.
Yeah. So men, women, get yourselves there. Get it. You know, I know there's issues with the NHS, but you know, getting there, just get yourself checked over. If there's something underlying wrong with you, you'll get pushed to the front of the queue, hopefully anyway. So find out and then deal with it. You know, much rather know up front.
I mean, the irony is, when I hear about some of the hospital stories up here, they're nowhere near as bad as they are down south.
No.
So up north, where, funny enough, it seems we're pretty organised NHS-wise. I know that I've heard some pretty shocking stories about some queues, and one that Anne had. I'll have to tell you about that sometime on the phone when she rang up, and the way the nurse spoke to her was absolutely shocking. Absolutely shocking. I mean, it's a rare case, but it was like that was unnecessary. She only asked a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you about that sometime. But anyway, the thing is if you can't let the fear of a thing. Here's me, Mr. Hypocrite. You can't let the fear of a thing prevent you from, you know, doing the very checks and balances that you need to do to prevent that thing. You don't need to be afraid of what bad result you might get to prevent you from. Then you'll get a worse result, because it'll eventually rear its head to the point where you have to go, and then they're going to say, how long have you known? Well, if you'd come, especially these days with the likes of cancer and whatnot, the sooner you catch it, the simpler the treatment.
Yeah.
And the more likely you are to get rid of it altogether. So early diagnosis. You just need to have a rummage around. Make sure you haven't got anything there that wasn't there before. And the thing is, the sooner you do it, this is what I said to the nurse, the sooner you do it, the sooner you have a baseline. So to know whether something's there that shouldn't be, you had to have known what was supposed to be there in the first place. So you need to check yourself while you're healthy, so you know what unhealthy looks like. If you start when you're already unhealthy, you're like, well, that's meant to be there. Maybe it's not. If you checked last month, maybe it wasn't. So check yourself out. Bit of a touchy-feely episode there. Alright, so this was episode 50. Talking about 50 related stuff. Our next one for Thursday might be a little bit more fruity, because we've got some stuff on our mind about the news and that, the misbehaving. So until the next one, drop us some comments, your thoughts and feelings, fears if any, and stories around today's subject. Subscribing is the best and freest way to help us out. Clicking some likes, and whatever comments you like on whichever platform you listen on. But until the next one, take care.